Music is gotta be. I like it.
All right, I am obsessive, so I'm gonna go to the bathroom before we get started.
All right.
The next time I'm going to go. 8 minutes.
Got it.
Should go off at 6 because I went off at 5.
Yeah.
And I know from other times it's stayed on all the way up until 5. I see nothing you can do with it until the timer is up on.
Right. It's okay if it comes on and he's not. I'll just start talking. Just now, as the guest, I'd like to introduce your host.
I've been doing a talk show for about 25, 30 years. I remember I started with Sybil Tunkanji. She was the first female in the United States of America to be a host of a talk show.
Really?
She passed
Wow.
away a number of years ago, but she was my teacher, so to speak. We used to do the show together, and when she died, I took over the whole thing.
Wow. That's crazy. Good for her. And good for you.
She was really good. She was on the air. She was herself.
Yeah.
Sometimes she'd joke around. She was talking to one guy who was supposed to be in great health and couldn't hear anything he said. She's over there laughing in the corner. This guy's nuts. He can't even hear him or anything, you know.
Yeah.
She said, "Well, we got 5 minutes before we go on the air. Can you compose yourself?" I said, "There's nothing we can do except I'm going to hit the button."
Right. True.
No, I didn't turn that one on.
I like it.
Bad idea. Where?
I didn't know. I was like, will it be AC? Will it be
Yeah,
non-AC?
The
Will it be
air
cold?
conditioning is on. I had it.
Yeah,
I
it's
turned down
comfortable.
later
I'm
on,
happy.
They called up and said, "I heard you mentioned over the air about the air conditioning not being that great." I said, "Well, it wasn't at the time," but I said I shut it off and I put it back on.
Yeah.
Cool off. It's beautiful in here now. You guy, I'll have a great time with it.
The new guys that you know.
Yeah.
The new guys that like
I'm
it.
the new guy.
He didn't mention about the computer.
Right. Whew. I think. All right.
6 minutos.
6 minutes.
Alexa, play WNTN.
Yeah, the lights downstairs.
Hey, so if you're on the stream, do you want to drop something in the comments? I think we have a
Yeah, are
couple.
you going live?
Yes, yeah, I have a couple people,
Oh, cool.
and they
Okay.
can see you. They can see both of you in the
Wait,
in the
what?
stream, on the video stream.
Oh, wait, there's a video stream?
What's that?
How do I get to it?
Oh, jeez. Let me share it with you.
We should play a game where we try to guess what the song is about.
Where is it on? Oh, here you go. You on YouTube. Let me share, copy. All right, I only have my email on here, so I'm going to send you an email really quick.
You got 5 minutes to where you should not have a problem.
5 minutes away from problem-free life.
Or me throwing up. One of the two is going to happen.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. You and me both. Ivana Sophia at Gmail.
Yeah.
Okay. There, I just sent you that link so you can pass that along.
Oh, it's a YouTube. Wow.
Yeah, and
Here I am. All right, how do you the number one song.
I thought that was the top of the hour. I was like, why is it 4 minutes early?
I have to create a channel. Oh my gosh, create channel.
Because you don't want to miss that. That's why it's fun.
Did that pop up? I can see why this is number one. It's a nice little vibe.
Hmm?
So I can see why this is number
Yeah,
one.
you can see why it made it. All right, so I'm recording that now.
How long was the show?
How long is 2 or 3 hours?
What's
How long
up?
is the show?
2 hours. So our interview with you, which we can probably do an hour.
Yeah.
And if it ends early, I have more stuff that I can
Oh,
can
we can
add.
do an hour. I'm gonna start talking about like my favorite flavors of cheesecake or something.
Hopefully, we won't need
We
too
won't,
much
but
of that, but yeah.
there are some good cheesecakes.
This woman this morning, after I interviewed her months ago, something about different sex or whatever.
Oh, jeez.
Not exactly what you think it is, but that was the name of it because I had a hard time trying to put it in the program.
Yeah.
She says, what the hell is this? And I said, well, it is what it is.
That's
Don't worry about it. I said, I can handle it. I already talked to the woman and everything else. It comes from a reputable company and everything else. So I said, nothing to worry about. You won't lose your license.
It's on. All right. The biggest thing I'm worried about is making sure I have the mics on because I have to manually flip them
right.
on.
You can do it.
Check, check, check. Check mic. All right. Well, that's what's coming through right now. All right. Well, so
It's better we don't have the mics working now than you accidentally recording over a pre-recorded program and those people getting mad.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it will.
Nice guess.
Here
in Massachusetts. Coming. First single on Harlan is out today, and when it gets radioed with you, the show tonight.
Told me in a hurry, so I don't know.
Yeah.
True, that wasn't.
All right. Well, here we go. We'll see what happens.
WNTN, Cambridge, Needham, Boston.
That's the ID, nothing else. Nothing else.
Hey, that's me. I'm Brian Thomason. Thank you so much for listening. This is WNTN 1550 AM, and this is Music from Friends. Before I go any further, I want to give a huge shout out to Alex Sullivan. He's the one that put that little intro together. He turned around in less than a day, too, and he was able to put up with all my revision ideas that were actually pretty bad. So thank you, Alec. And Alec will also be on the show at the end of the month. So that's that. And now let me get into my very first guest on the radio. Hopefully you've heard her part one of the interview on the podcast version. But the guest tonight is a great talent from Massachusetts, and she's truly up and coming. Her first single, "Oh Darlin'," is out today on Spotify, and she's going to make her radio debut tonight with that song as well. It's the first song off her double album, and the first part of that album is set to release in July, and it explores the pain that she experienced growing up. It'll be followed up with a second album that explores much more of the love and her new beginnings. She's overcome so much in her life already, and music has been a big key part of that growth and healing. So it's a pleasure to welcome to the show, Ivana.
Thank you very much.
Hey.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm really excited to have you. And I think I told you this earlier in the week that your podcast episode is now the most listened to episode of all the ones that I've done, and it only happened in like 3 days.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah.
I've done a lot of interviews too. I've been
Yeah.
listening to a lot of them. You have some really cool people on your show.
Oh, thank you.
I love it.
Thanks. No, and it's been really fun. And a lot of people offline have been texting me about how great your story was. It was really powerful to a lot of people. So
That means a lot.
thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah, I guess let's just start for maybe the handful of people that haven't heard it yet. Give us the 30-second version of your background so we can jump right into the music. And if it goes a little longer than 30 seconds, that's
All
okay.
right. Okay, so I was brought up in a family of 5 kids. My dad was the pastor of a church that follows the teaching of a man called Hobart Freeman, which is considered a cult by many people, including New York Times Magazine, Wikipedia, the Faith Assembly cult. And I was brought up in that religious cult upbringing until the age of 18. I was kicked out of my house 5 days after I turned 18, was homeless, house hopped, couch lived. Is that what it's called? Couch hopped?
Yeah,
House hopped and couch hopped, yeah. All around. Ended up here in Worcester. I have a 4-year-old son now. Music saved my life. This is what got me through it. I've been a musician since I was 7. That's the really, really fast version of it. That skips a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it.
And a lot of that we're going to unpack
Yes.
tonight. But how has the response been that you've heard? Because when you came on my podcast, that was the second time that you had really kind of shared your story kind of broadly. The first time was with the girls in Worcester on their podcast, Pop It. So what's been the response that you've gotten from people? What have they told you?
It's been incredible, actually. I was honestly terrified just because I've been through a lot of work in therapy trying to not identify myself as like a victim and as a survivor and as all the great things I'm capable of rather than like all the things that have happened to me. So going on a podcast or a radio show and talking about my life, I've been very cautious about like how I portray my story just because I don't want it to be like for me, everyone feel bad for me. I really want it to be a story of empowerment because I know I'm not the only person who's gone through some really hard, unimaginable things. And that actually is like what I feel like the response has been. It has been a lot of like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, which is great and awesome because that just means that I'm doing a great job out here in the normal world.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good, yeah.
But most of it's just been like your story is really empowering. It's been really amazing to hear this, extremely validating for certain people who've been through similar experiences. And I've gotten to get in touch with so many people all around the country, literally, that also grew up in churches that follow the Faith Assembly teachings. And just the amount of like validation, and they've been so thankful that I'm like talking about it and they're realizing that their stories are important. That's the part that I wasn't even expecting. Like I didn't think about what this would do for other people.
Right.
I really was just thinking about like, telling my story I think would be good in healing, and it like spread to other people as well, which is really cool.
Right. And I'm very pro therapy. So how was
I am 100% pro therapy.
Well, did your therapist suggest that you do this, or was this something that you just felt like, I need to, this is part of what I'm going to be in part as my career?
Therapist didn't specifically suggest going on a podcast or anything, but most people in general, including therapists, have been like, oh, you should write a book or you should go on a show, why aren't you on, Dr. Phil or something? And I have been given different opportunities to kind of put my story a little bit more in the public eye, but it's never been connected to my music. And for myself, I'm like, I don't want to just tell everyone, these are all these things that happened to me, because it doesn't really mean a whole lot unless you can show like what's become of it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the lesson in life, is like you go through hard stuff because it helps you become a better person and spread great things around the world. So I don't just want to go on and let everyone see that, another human went through hard things. Like, of course,
right, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, so this was the first opportunity where I was like, I have music that I'm recording right now, and like I'm in the studio and I just released a single, and I'm like, this is where, and all my music is directly connected to my past. I don't just like write songs about random stuff. Like, it's connected to my life. So it all kind of started lining up.
Wow. yeah, to be able to be kind of a functioning adult in society after what you've been through, it that part just amazes me.
Thank you.
And then
It's been hard.
oh yeah,
I'm not quite as functioning as you might come across, but yeah, we're getting there.
okay, good. Well, you've done well. You put a lot of your personal life out there on Instagram, I guess, on your personal Instagram account that I follow too, and you have a great son. You're doing, great raising him. We've FaceTimed before, and I've seen him pop up. So he's great. He's cute, and your boyfriend's great. So great job, and congratulations on kind of this next step of your life, and really starting it now. I feel
I know it's really crazy.
Though you've done music for a while now, this is kind of the kickoff. It seems. So you mentioned you've been doing music since you were 7. So let's backtrack. Aside, I mean, it's all connected to the cult in the past, but how did you get started in all of this? Really go into as much detail as you want.
All right. Let's see. My first memory, I didn't listen to a lot of music growing up. We didn't listen to radio or watch TV or we didn't listen to any music that wasn't connected to the church in some way. Like we had some recordings of like our worship songs from the church. A couple of the other girls in the church at the time also played the piano, and obviously, as a young 4 or 5-year-old girl, you look up to the teenage girls. I remember thinking it was really cool. After church, sometimes they'd play the piano. That was really awesome. And then my grandfather is very much into classical music, and I remember that from a young age. And I have that vivid memories of him like bringing me to watch the symphony, which was always very fun. It was one of the few times we also got to like go out and like do something kind of cool. We were always the only kids at the symphony too, because we didn't go to like concerts and shows of like what they would call secular music. But most classical music, aside from certain composers that were considered they didn't have great history or whatever, so you don't want to support their music a million years later.
So that was something like when you mentioned on the podcast, I'm like, how did she get like kind of free or get this free time to go outside? But I guess your uncle, you said, was kind of connected to
So my grandfather that's fine. My grandfather took me to the symphony. I remember like he would call and be like, can I take Ivana or my sister or whatever to the symphony? It was like, oh my god, I get to go out and like go to the symphony. This is so exciting. And I remember like him asking, what instrument would you want to play? And I would look at the symphony on the stage and I'd see like 5 bass players and 15 violin players and 15 viola players and all these flute players and clarinet, and then there'd only be, if there were any, one harpist. And I was like, I want to be that one person, because if anyone knows me, they know I like to be the center of attention. So I was like, I want to play the harp. And I actually knew of a harpist up in Maine when I used to go visit my grandparents. There's actually, so random, a harpist up there that played a lot of Celtic music. My family has Celtic roots. We have a lot of Scottish blood in us, so we were always kind of like into that style of music as well. And she let me play on her harp, and she told me, you have a lot of potential. You should take piano lessons, because the harp costs like $6,000.
You really want to make sure you know that before you make that commitment.
You're 7 years old. Chances of your parents buying you a $6,000 harp are not very high. So I begged and begged and begged for piano lessons. And I finally, at 7, signed up for my first piano lesson. I remember I like did my hair. I wore my favorite dress. Like I was so excited for this piano lesson, which I think is hilarious because I've been a teacher for 12 years. And every once in a while I'll get a student and I can tell that they're like as excited as I was for my first lesson.
Awesome.
Like I've had a student, like I had this little boy and he showed up for his first lesson like in a like suit and tie. And I was like, I get it. Like, I totally see where you're at, and someday you will be soloing with the orchestra because you're there in your head already.
That's awesome.
So I remember being, like, so excited for my first piano lesson, and I didn't quit after that. Aside from, I took a break. My favorite piano instructor ever, shout out to Julie if she listens, she forced me to write a song on the piano. She made me do it. I didn't want to do it. She made me do it, and that's how I got into songwriting. I hated it at first, and then I loved it. And when I had to stop taking lessons from her, I cried and like I couldn't handle it. Like I had to take a break from lessons for a while. I didn't take piano lessons for a few months. But I took piano lessons from 7, a little break in there till about 16, 17. That's when I finally got a harp.
Oh, okay.
Was when I was like, most people are getting their first car.
Right. You got a harp.
Exactly. Yeah. So I bought myself my first harp too.
Oh, wow.
But I think I don't want to like misremember. It was a lot of my own money. I don't know if it was 100% my own money, but I remember dropping a lot of money on that and started taking harp lessons at like 17.
So how did you? I'm sorry. How did you get money to buy the harp?
I, at the age of 9, started delivering newspapers. So I was a paper girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
With a bike and everything.
Yeah. I know, right? Like so cliche.
That's awesome.
I mean, sometimes I'd not really ride a bike because I had to wear dresses a lot growing up, and that was sometimes tricky.
Okay.
But I walked a lot. I lived on a hill in Lowell, Massachusetts, and up and down that hill delivering newspapers, waking up really early on a Sunday morning. The papers on a Sunday morning are like really heavy.
Oh yeah.
You have to assemble them yourself. I remember, like,
really?
Yeah, literally waking up at like 6 a.m. and like assembling the news because they give you like the front of it on Sunday. That's like the fresh news. But on like Thursday and Friday and Saturday, they'd start delivering like the advertisements and like the local news that doesn't need to be like the breaking news or whatever.
Okay.
So you have to actually assemble
wow.
all of the newspapers yourself. They're like an inch thick.
Wow.
And I could only carry like 8 of them at a time. I'm not kidding. I like traipse out there with 8 papers, come back, I'll get it all done before church because I have to go to church on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
That's really when it got my work ethic.
Yeah.
And I babysat starting at like 16. I started babysitting.
Okay.
I tutored Spanish to 2 girls in the neighborhood. I taught piano to like 6 girls, I think, in the neighborhood. When I was like 16, 17, I started teaching private piano lessons. I just walk through the house and teach them. So I started saving up money in a little bank account.
Okay, so I'm sorry that we took that sidetrack.
fine.
I was very curious how you got money. So that 16, 17 got your own harp, and then what happens from there?
I started taking harp lessons. My harp teacher was incredible. Also a huge supporter of my music. At that point, I was like getting really into writing music as well. Most of my music was all instrumental at that time. It was a while before I really started like adding lyrics to songs and taking that side of it seriously. So whenever she had a recital, it'd be like a harp recital, and she would let me also play a song on the piano that I wrote. I remember it. Like I thought it was so cool. I even wrote some songs on the harp. She would always be like supportive of me playing my own music in the recitals. Loved that. She would always ask me, "Are you writing a song?" And I'd like, "Do you want me to play it for you?" She'd be like, "Yeah." Like, get up from the harp, go over to the piano, play it for her. She'd be like, "It's beautiful." She was such a great teacher. The only harp teacher I ever had. It's hard to find harp teachers out here. Yeah. If anyone's looking, I'm here.
All right, nice.
Because like I'm probably the only one in the area.
Right.
Let's see, guitar. Where does guitar start? I did like a little summer music camp.
Okay.
Actually at the same school I took harp lessons at, and I had to do like little elective courses. So that's where I did a quick guitar class and a voice class. I'd already been kind of teaching myself guitar as well, because it's not too hard to figure out, especially if you have like chord wise technique and a lot of the difficult stuff definitely needs some training. But like just if you have an idea of rhythm and note reading and chords, like you're gonna be able to pick up on it.
Which you definitely developed, with the piano.
Right,
with harp.
exactly, yeah. So I mean, but like I was like classically trained on piano. Like I had real piano lessons, so it was easy to start transferring a lot of that knowledge over to the harp, to the guitar. My same Julie, the music teacher who made me write music, she gave me a lot of vocal training too. I remember her making me like lie on my back in the lesson and learn how to breathe properly. Like, yeah, really cool. She just helped me like emotionally connect with music too, which was really awesome.
Was she also part of the church?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we took lessons at just a music school in Lowell. A couple of times, like it was threatened that music lessons might get taken. I remember one time, like I was told if I didn't start singing more in church, then I wouldn't be able to take music lessons anymore. But I was totally allowed to like take my music lessons. I couldn't learn, we didn't participate in like a Christmas recital, and we didn't play like Disney. Some kids would play like a Disney's tune like during a recital. Like I would only ever play like the classical piano, like nothing secular. It's what we weren't allowed to play. But we did participate. We had to skip some songs. I remember having to skip it's the it sounds it's like a folk song.
I know that, but I don't know the name of any.
I remember it's a folk song, and I remember being really embarrassed because I had to go tell my teacher that I actually couldn't learn the song in the piano. I need to skip that one in the book.
Wow.
And like Jingle Bells or something,
right,
like that's Christmas song. You got to skip it. Any of like the holiday songs, maybe even patriotic songs. So remember, like we didn't ever like fly a flag or anything. So we're not members of this country. We're members of heaven.
Okay, nice.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so then guitar got thrown in there. I did end up taking guitar lessons, not until I started teaching at 18. I started teaching at a music school, and I traded voice lessons with the guitar teacher, and he taught me guitar and I taught him voice.
Okay.
That was cool.
Right.
And same thing with voice as well. I eventually started taking some professional lessons. I still wish I could take more, I just don't have time.
Right. And you said that started at 18, right? So really about the time that you're getting kicked out of the church, quote, but cult, about the time that you're being asked to leave, you now have been trained classically with piano, harp, and now you have some guitar lessons, vocal lessons. So you were really prepared to kind of start this the moment that you were kicked out.
Yes, I was. That's when at 12 years old, I wrote in my journal, I'm going to be a music teacher. And I remember I literally was reading this journal entry because I got a hold of one of my childhood journals, and I was reading it. And it's so funny because it's like, I'm going to be a music teacher and I want to be a famous musician, but not like the normal ones out there. Like, I'm going to spread like a really positive message and not make it all about me, which like it is about me, but I think I'm doing pretty good with like my 12-year-old dream, like of being like not your average, not that I'm that popular, but I just think it's so funny. That was like my dream. I'm like, I'm going to be a popular musician, but I'm going to spread a positive message to young girls around the world. I'm like, what? I'm like, this is crazy.
Well, I think you're doing that because your story resonates with people, so many people who've gone through the same, kind of cult experience. But even outside that, a lot of the people that I've heard from haven't gone through that bad of an experience. But as you said on the podcast, we've all gone through something hard. And the ability to kind of get through that and then, on the other side, make a new life has really resonated with a lot of people. So I would
think
definitely say
a lot of people identify with like having to re-identify yourself as a person. I think a lot of people, whether you go through something really hard in life, I think there's a lot of people out there who are struggling with their identity, whether it's like literally their sexual identity or who they love or why they love or all that type of stuff, whether it's like your ethnicity, anything. I think people struggle with their identity, and then a lot of people have been through experiences, unfortunately, in their life where they have felt extremely abandoned by their community, and they have had to kind of like re-root themselves in a community. And like, maybe you didn't grow up with my upbringing, but you can identify with that aspect of it, of like really having to really just hold on to yourself and plant yourself again and start over. So I think that part of it, a lot of people relate to it for sure.
Okay. Before we get into the next question, those of you who are watching a live video stream, if you have comments or your own questions for Ivana, they can type it in the comment section on YouTube, and I'll see that, and they can engage with you a little bit. I would love to hear if anybody else has any questions or thoughts about your story. You said you wrote a couple songs, but they didn't have words in the beginning. Do you remember the first song you wrote that had actual lyrics to it?
I actually wrote a few worship songs.
Okay.
As a child.
All right.
I remember very vividly. Unfortunately, I think a lot of it was out of really just trying to impress my father. I remember as a child, it was really hard. And again, not all of the things that were hard for me were specifically because of being raised in a cult. I think it's just hard to be a kid sometimes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Life isn't easy.
Yeah.
But especially being one of 5 children, my mom homeschooled all of us while running her own sewing business. Like we've had our issues and we don't have very much of a relationship at all. But like when it all comes down to it, as a mom, I'm like, she really did have a lot on her plate. So I have to at least respect that, even if I wish things ended up differently between us. Like it is pretty impressive, everything she did. But anyway, she was always busy. My dad was not involved at all. He was always upstairs in his study or at work. I don't really remember him involved very much in like my schooling or my musical journey or really any like deep part of my life. And I remember it was really hard practicing so much and trying really hard to be really good at the piano and just never feeling like anyone really listened to me and like being really proud of myself for learning a song or passing a song or writing a song or learning a scale or whatever, and even being like, Mom, like, listen. And she kind of would listen, but there's a baby crying and she's trying to make dinner and the dishes need to be washed and there's kids running around, and she'd kind of be there for 5 seconds and look up and she'd be gone. And to this day, it's still like an anxiety that I have, like, I'll ask them like, oh, you want to listen to my song? And like if they're look at their phone or like look away, like I'm like, no, listen, like please, you know what I mean? Like I really, and that's one of the reasons why I love to perform.
Okay.
Because like you don't have a choice. You can listen to it. You know what I mean? Like when I walk on stage, even if you don't like me, it's still respectful. You have to be quiet, and you're gonna clap for me too. You know what I mean? Like I really always love performing because finally, the whole room was silent, and you guys could listen to me pour my heart out on the piano, and it was so cathartic for me. And so to this day, I really like love to perform because there's actually some people had traumatic experiences. That's when like I actually finally felt seen was when I would go onto a stage. So. But back to my first song with lyrics, I did write some worship songs. I think it was kind of like out of trying to get a response. I did write one song at home as well. This is probably the first song I really remember the lyrics to. It was called "Set Me Free." It was really, really emo sad, like your
emo
typical
worship.
Like this one wasn't even a worship song.
This was just emo. Okay, all right.
Song, like I remember the lyrics to it. I could probably play it for you right now. The first song I ever wrote was Blue. It was a color. I just wrote songs for every color because I didn't know what to write about. Okay. This is the first song. These didn't have lyrics. The first song I ever wrote that Julie made me write, I wrote a song called Blue. And I wrote a song called Black. And there's white, there's yellow, there's every color. I just wrote songs for colors. I didn't know what to write about.
Did it feel like the color? So it was black,
Blue
like really heavy and dark.
Blue, I tried to make it sound like waves crashing and like very like airy and like fluttery and like I remember red was kind of intense and black was really dark and yellow was like high sounds like super fast. Like I was trying really hard. There's a reason for the colors. I just didn't know what to write about, but I was writing specifically for the colors. And then the first lyrical song I specifically remember was the song "Set Me Free." That was just like sad 16-year-old emo song. It was just like literally the opening line was like suffocating, my vision's fading, life is taking over me. It was just like, and like the chorus was like, set me free, the tears fly away so I can see with nothing in my way. It was just like, someone just scream it and add some like heavy like metal to it.
Have you thought about going back to that song and now that you actually have a way to
I do sometimes. It's like just funny to me. I don't know. Not because like I still feel that way.
Right.
Like, I still feel sometimes, like earlier today, I felt like I was suffocating and my vision was fading because I was having a little anxiety panic moment. But the thing is that my art of songwriting has turned from just being reactive emotion to an art where I, just like, if you're mad and you're painting, you're just feeling across to an audience. You're really thinking about what medium am I using? How am I painting this? And you can separate from it to really look at it from the outside. That's why any form of art is so like therapeutic because it forces you to think about it, but kind of from like an aerial view. So you can really think about it to try to get the audience to understand how you feel. So at this point, now when I write, like I might feel like I'm suffocating and my vision's fading, but I might not say it like that. I might say like I'm a flower trying to bloom in the night. You know what I mean? Like something a little bit more, I don't know, poetic and easy on the ears.
Or the butterfly.
Yeah, exactly.
We tease that on the podcast.
No,
that
one of my songs is Butterfly, When You Gonna Fly Away.
Right.
Same type of idea, just like, I don't know, a little easier to comprehend, I feel like, rather than like, your response is like, oh my God, are you okay?
This is so heavy.
Do you need help?
So we have a question in on YouTube.
Ooh,
and this is from Rachel Siegel. She says, what was your first experience with secular music? Was there a certain song that really spoke to you once you were able to have more freedom in the music you could listen to, and why?
This is such a good question.
Thanks,
Thank
Rachel.
you, Rachel. Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so the funny thing about my life is like I was so secluded from so much, but I do have these random like pockets of time where I was I got in trouble a lot, and I guess I had a reason to because I really wasn't following all the rules my parents had for me, which was hard because I was always stuck between a rock and a hard place. I either wasn't being true to myself or I was trying to be true to myself, but it was a complete secret. And I was living a double life for a lot of my teenage years. And if anyone out there who is out there living a double life, whether by choice or kind of being forced into it, we all know how anxious that can make you.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely.
not healthy at all. So stop if you are, please.
Yeah. Definitely.
But so one thing that I did in my double life was I don't even know how I got a hold of it, a little like pocket radio, like headphones connect, like radio battery powered. And I literally had a hole in my pillow And at night, I would pop those earplugs in and I would scroll through the radio and I would listen to music. And I lots of times had no idea what I was listening to. But like I would just hear a cool. And now I'll hear a song and be like, oh my God, that's one of the songs I heard from forever ago. You know what I mean?
Do you have any music of one that you've heard?
Yeah,
or any
so
memory?
Coldplay is my all-time favorite
Right.
band. I know it's so cliche because a lot of people are like, Coldplay is whatever. I love Coldplay and they're amazing and they saved my life because there was one night, and this is warning like a little super emotional, but I went through a phase where I was very suicidal and my parents didn't know. And I'm glad that I had my dad radio because I had a plan one night I didn't want to be around anymore.
No. Yeah.
And I was listening to my radio, and the song "Yellow" came on. When you try, exactly. Oh, that's "Fix You."
Right,
the yellow is your skin and bones turning to something beautiful. Yeah, and then the opening.
Is that yellow?
The opening line is. Look at the stars.
Yeah, there you go.
Look how they shine for you and everything you do. And they're all yellow. I love that song so much. And it's funny too because I remember hearing that and like literally being like, maybe God is real because I think this song was written for me. Like I really felt like that. I was like, okay, something out there wants me to be here because I felt like it was directly connected to my life and what I was going through. And to this day now, there's a lot of lyrics in that song. One of them I want to get tattooed on me. And it was just like, I drew a line for you and it was all yellow. Oh, what a thing to do. It's very symbolic of my life because yellow is the color of friendship. And I have had so many times in my life where I've had to set boundaries, like drawing a line, whether it's with friends or parents or whatever, where I've really had to draw a line for that person because I know I'm going to get hurt and they're going to get hurt if we try to have this toxic relationship. It's not going to be healthy. So that song is one of my first memories of the secular song. I also remember hearing some Justin Timberlake song. I remember thinking it was super cool.
All right.
I don't know if it was like Sexy Back or like As Long as I Got My Suit and Tie.
Oh yeah.
I just remember, I'll hear a song and I'm like, I think I heard this like when I was younger, but I didn't know what it was because I was just like scrolling and I was always like, I shared it with my sister. I didn't want her to know, so I like literally scroll for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I listen to cool music because I just want to be cool. Like if I was around other kids, I want to be able to like know a song. Never happened, but
that's painful to me if Sexy Back is really 10 years old because I feel like it just came out the other day. So now I'm like, oh, I'm really old.
It's okay. I experience it now too because as a teacher, like kids will tell me all the time, you know, this cool song, you know about this artist. I'm like, what are you talking about? They like don't know who Adele is, and I'm like, Adele is the best singer out there.
Well,
like, who's that?
They really don't. Wow.
Yeah,
Has she not been?
I mean, she is. I think she's relevant, but too like 13 now is the age. You know, 12, 13 is when kids are like really starting to get connected with music, especially thanks to TikTok.
Yeah, you know, I've said so much.
It's a TikTok song too. What? Excuse me?
I've said so much on Instagram that TikTok is the MTV for this generation.
Oh yeah.
Like absolutely. So much of the songs that they hear and the exposure that they get to music is on TikTok through those little blurbs. Yeah. So, which is I think why we are a culture now that's really driven by singles.
It's true. Driven by singles and driven by 30-second clips.
Right. Yeah.
I remember when my song, the Oh Darling song. It's like in my mind a shorter song.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. In my head, I'm like 3 to 4 minutes. That's a great song. And my producer was actually like, "This is ideal because it's like 2-ish minutes." They're like, he was like, "This is what you want now." Like people's like attention, whatever it is, they want to hear the content, have a hook, hear it one more time, and be over it. I'm like, all right, good to know, because I was self-conscious about it. I'm like, is this song long enough? You know, it's like absolutely. It's like okay, there's a couple songs on the album. They're definitely over 2 minutes. Whatever.
Good, and I've heard a couple of them, and they're really great. I can't wait till the whole album comes out. Really and on the podcast, we previewed Butterflies just a little bit.
It worked really well too. I was
like
impressed by that. I was like, oh, this vibes well with like an intro.
Thank you. You sent it to me as a suggestion,
I know.
so good job.
Once I heard it and like your voice faded in, I was like, oh, this works. Like it's real.
So let me cue up Oh Darling, a single that you have out today. I said on Spotify, but it's probably also on iTunes.
It's everywhere. You can even use it on TikTok, people.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's really cool. I have like an idea for like a TikTok trend.
Okay.
I don't know if it would ever kick off or anything. But wait, can I cue into the idea just so people
you do that while I'm getting the song ready. Yeah.
So there's this lyric towards the end of the song, and the lyric is, sometimes fragile feels so strong, and sometimes a little takes so long. and then it builds up into the big chorus where I sing "Oh Darling."
Mm.
And in my head, I'm like, ooh, this could be like a TikTok transition type thing where it's like you show pictures of yourself when you're going through a really hard time.
Mhm.
Sometimes fragile feels so strong, and sometimes a little takes so long. And then when it's like, oh, darling, you cue into showing yourself now that you've come out on the other side. You know what I mean? Like in your like in the pictures, whatever. People do this on TikTok. They show like, this is me in a hard time and no one knew it. This is me now, and they just look happier
Right,
and healthier, and they're doing something they love to do, whatever it is. Like you could use those lyrics for that. So TikTok trend it, people. Let's go.
Awesome. All right, so I have it queued up. This
All
is "Oh Darlin'," and it's getting played on the radio, so congratulations. All right, here we go. Awesome. All right, that was "Oh Darlin'" by Ivana. Ivana, what do you think?
That was really good.
So tell us a little bit about the inspiration for that song. Where did that come from?
Okay,
What
cool.
place were you in when you
My
wrote
therapist.
that song? Yeah, your therapist.
No, literally, my therapist. Like okay, so this was what happened. I was in a therapy session, and my therapist introduced me to the whole idea of reparenting yourself. So basically, I think a lot of people who struggled with absent parents, whether they're just like absent emotionally or physically absent, kind of struggle with the emotion of like, oh, I wish I had my parents to. I mean, every day I wish I had my parents for something, even just call and complain about Wesley. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like whatever it is. So not having that is really hard. And then there's also those issues where not having your parents during hard times as a child can affect you now because you just never had that sense of security. So reparenting yourself, here's a little therapy lesson, is just learning how to be that person for yourself, right? Because you don't need anyone else. A lot of times people unhealthily, I've done it myself, unhealthily attached to somebody else as almost like that parental figure that they needed or they need. And really, if you're an adult and you needed that parent, the only person now that you can really go to is yourself to be that person, to say, you got it. I've like literally been driving to work on an anxious day, and like I've had to be the parent I needed. Like, Ivana, you are capable of this. You can do it. You got through your hard day last week. You can do it again today. You're overthinking, whatever it is, doing that for yourself. So my therapist had been really working with me on that. And then I really had a mental breakdown one day just about not having like a mom, really. I made a really, really good friend, and we both experienced this. We both went through this similar idea, and we talked about that, and like it was really hard for both of us. And my therapist was like, next time you're having that feeling, I want you to write a letter to yourself. I want you to tell yourself in a letter what you wished your mom would say to you. And I was like, all right. So it's 2 a.m. one morning, and I was having one of those moments, and I wrote those lyrics. I did not change them at all.
No.
I switched the order up
Wow.
a little bit,
Uh-huh.
but the lyrics are exactly what I still have it as a note in my phone. I literally pulled out my phone at 2 a.m. and wrote the lyrics to that song.
Wow.
And it was just what I wish someone would say to me. You're beautiful right here in the middle. Like, you don't need to get to a certain type of person or a certain place in your life to be beautiful. You're beautiful right here in the middle. Like, don't try to run away. Let me see you undone. Lonely, I'll take your lonely.
Mhm.
You'll never have to be the only.
Mhm.
Sometimes fragile feels strong, and a little takes a long time. It's okay, darling. Like,
Wow.
that's the whole idea of it.
Hmm.
So I wrote it, like, for me and for my friend, too, because I remember
Yeah, Danielle Pratt, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
she performed it.
she did perform
Okay.
it. Yeah, she's an incredible singer. I love her to death. I wrote the song for her. I remember I sang at an open mic, and I was like, I'm going to sing a song, and I wrote it for you. I look over, she's like crying. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Like, it didn't mean for it to turn into such an emotional moment. But yeah, it was amazing. She's awesome. And we've done a lot of music together. She knows all my songs. She's my number one fan.
But what do you mean by wrote it for her? Like for her
Just-
to perform, or
No,
for her?
both.
Okay.
In my mind, I wrote it. This happens a lot too. I'll write a song and I won't realize how connected it is to myself personally.
Right.
You know what I
okay,
mean? And
yeah.
then after I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that is totally everything I'm currently going through.
Right.
So at the time when I was writing it, I was having those feelings. I knew she was too. We were kind of going through a hard time with this at the same time.
Mhm.
And I wrote it. I was like, this is what I wish, my mom would say to me. And then I don't know why, I just like let the song be for me. I was like, hey, I wrote the song about that feeling that we have.
Right.
And in my head, when I went to go write the lyrical aspect of it, the melodic aspect of it, her voice is like so powerful. Like that's
Right.
my hardest song for me to sing.
Oh, okay.
Because her voice is like this beautiful, powerful voice.
You pull it off very well.
Thank you. The studio helped. I will
Right.
be honest with you. Like, I'm nervous to sing that one live. Like,
Okay.
you really have to
Right.
plan your breathing and really
Yeah,
support your
yeah.
voice. She sings it 2 steps higher than I do. I had to lower it for
Wow.
myself.
Okay.
So, but in my head, like, her voice when she sings big notes for a long time, it's just the vibrato and the everything, resonance, everything, gorgeous. So the big, oh darling, that was
Right.
for her originally, because I'm like, oh, she's gonna sing this,
Right.
right? Like, I want
And
her
just
to
hit it.
have a song that she can be listening
Right.
to in car and just like go, like just release. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? I want it to be this big release.
Right.
Eventually, it became a release for me, but at first, it was kind of like with her voice in mind. And then I came across, I was like, oh wait, I could record this. And it's like, if I record this, like I want to record it
Right.
because it is, it's me and it's what I'm going through, and it's, I don't know, it's for both of us.
Yeah. Have you
We
thought
have
about?
those relationships where like I'll be going through something and realize she's going through the same exact thing, or vice
Oh,
versa.
okay.
So we're just kind of connected that way.
But she has a very different story, I would assume. Than you,
Yes.
right?
Oh
Okay.
yeah, she has a
Okay.
very, very good.
All right. But it's interesting how you could have 2 different stories.
Right.
But
That's what I'm saying though. That's why, people, like you said, people reaching out about my story, like, oh, I relate to them. Like, they didn't grow up in my upbringing, but everyone can relate to certain aspects of what I've been through, I think.
You have a video of her doing it on Instagram.
yeah.
Where was that at that you
Ooh.
were playing that? You were both played a piano at some
Best
point.
open mic, the best local open mic.
Okay.
Can I cue?
Oh,
okay.
please, yeah, please plug
The
it.
Natick Center for Arts has an open mic. Used to be on, I think, Tuesday nights. I don't know if it's happening again. I keep like checking my email to see if it's happening because it's post COVID now.
Right, yeah.
They have like a beautiful room. The sound there is amazing. I always love my voice on their stage, and they have a grand piano on the stage. Oh, they do such a good open mic. I go to plenty of open mics. That's my favorite one so far. That's where we did that song together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you performed at a lot of other places aside from that? Before this, I mean, obviously before the single came out, you
Right.
have to.
I haven't done a whole lot of like gigging around very
Okay.
much. I wish I could do more. I hopefully will be. I have a band that I'm putting together, and we're hoping like in the fall we'll be performing my music, which would be really awesome around the Worcester area.
Oh, okay.
I've mostly performed at like open mics, and I have played with a band like here and there, but not a whole lot.
Okay. How did you find these members of that you're putting in this band? that you're putting together?
Through my boyfriend owns a bar, and I meet really cool people there.
Oh,
So through that's where I met the bassist. Orion played the bass on my single, and it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Also, his little son is my son's best friend, so that worked out really well.
And I think his Instagram is I Dad Hard. Is that right?
Dad Hard.
Yeah, that's
That's like his brand because he literally does Dad Hard. And
Really?
he does
Okay.
a really good job
That's
at
awesome.
it too. I love it. But yeah, so I've met a couple people through that. I used to teach at a private music school, and the electric guitar that you hear in that song is through him. My producer I met through the school that I used to work at as well. I met Danielle from, she performs live more than I do. She gigs all over the place.
Okay.
I met Danielle just through seeing her performing locally. So yeah.
All right. So the single came out today,
Yes.
but I mentioned in the intro that you have a 2-part album coming
Yeah.
out. And so the first part comes out July.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a single now in June. And like you said in your little intro, the first half of my album is all about healing. And then the second half of the album is about loving. So the whole message is like, you have to love yourself, heal yourself before you can love those around you.
Mm.
So the first half of the album will be Oh Darling plus 4 more songs. Those are all the songs about healing that will be planned to be released in July.
Okay.
And then in August, I'll release a single off the second half of the album. And then in September, I'll release the rest of the album. So we're kind of spreading it out over the summer into the fall,
Right.
which was my producer's idea, which I love.
Right. That's an awesome
it's
idea.
like less stress with more
Right.
excitement, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love a Child is your
Child,
producer. Is that right?
He's
Yeah.
very
Child with a Y.
talented. Everyone needs to go record with him. He's an up-and-coming artist and producer.
And
He's
he
awesome.
was on Instagram today at IG Live.
Yeah,
He was playing a guitar.
yeah. He plays the guitar.
It was amazing.
It's pretty cool.
It was so
Yeah,
great.
no, he does that. He does like the coolest. He's also just like a great live performer.
Okay.
Like he is so invested in what he does. He's
Really?
100% there 100% of the time.
Wow.
There could be one person watching. There could be a million people watching. He'll perform with his whole heart every single time. Like he does not need the energy of a room, although he does well with it. He just needs his energy, and like he
Wow.
does so well with it. But he was like playing. He played some of like scratch bass in some of my stuff before we had Orion come in
Oh, okay.
over. And like he's not like, oh, let's figure out an idea. He's like, let's like play this, and he like puts the track on, and like I look over and he's just like in the bass. You know what I mean? Like he's like there, and he's like listening.
Wow,
And he's like,
okay.
I'm like, oh my god, like he is 100% committed all the time. I love that.
And was he a big part of why this song was released as a single, or was there other? Because you were, I think, on Instagram, you mentioned, there was like a poll you took.
Yeah.
They could vote for,
Yeah.
which song, or maybe
Yeah.
they were asking people what's the name of my song.
Yeah, exactly.
So why did you settle on this song to release and not some other ones that you have?
I settled on this song. This song is very personal to me. I feel like it's a good representation of like what my vibe, the second half of my album is a lot of like love related songs on there, but I take pride in having music that's not just your typical like, hey, you're cute, I think I like you. You know what I mean? Like, nothing against that
Right.
style of pop music, but
Right.
I just really like that I have been able to develop it beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
So this song like sends a great message. It's not too long. I think it kind of is an overall vibe of what my music sounds like. Some of it's a little bit more R&B like, some of it's a little bit more rock, pop like, but it's a pretty good vibe. This song, we almost scratched it. This is
Really?
such the cliche.
Really? Okay.
I literally feel like I'm like that musician on that show. Like, yeah, we almost didn't do it. But I'm not even kidding you. Like, I could show you text messages where Child like messaged me and he's like, yeah, I don't know, maybe we scratch it and do something different. And I'm like, let's just give it one hard like try in the studio session. I'm like, let's just give it 100% in the studio session. Let's like, it's in 6/8, which is like a typical time signature.
Mhm.
6/8 can be like, there's not a lot of ways to play with it. I
But
feel
you
like.
can groove when it's done right.
Exactly,
Right, okay.
exactly. So I was like, it was feeling very dance, like da 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 da. It was like feeling very like a first dance at a wedding, and not like something that was like catchy and like groovy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we messed around with the beat, and we pulled it out. And like at the end of that session, we were like, I cannot believe we almost didn't put this on. Like it sounds so good, and it's always been one of my favorites that I wrote. So
Wow.
that's something.
I'm glad you didn't scratch it.
I know, me too. Can you imagine?
That would be that would be sad. But when are you thinking about getting out and playing live?
As soon as my band and I coordinate more on practicing.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, it's been hard. COVID's been hard. Like during COVID, I was calling a lot of places, like trying to book, and they're like, yeah, like as soon as we know what the heck is going on. I'm like, true. So now we're at that point where we can start planning. I have a lot of like potential venues possibly, but nothing set in stone yet. Plus I want it, like my step one is like, let's get my band and I to feel really great with the music. I don't want to go out there and like do a half decent job. I want to blow people away.
Right.
So I'm
No,
like,
that's
let's
good.
practice a lot. We'll start booking soon, and then I'll start announcing where we'll be. The other option, is for me to just like sing to my tracks. You know what I mean? Just me sing,
Oh yeah.
which is
yeah.
easier to plan.
Right.
Like, and I don't
Right.
mind it. Like, I love to, I love to perform.
Right.
I would rather perform with the band. I love the
Yeah.
band environment. It is harder to coordinate with all these people and
Mhm.
the space and everything. We'll figure it out. My goal right now is get the music out, make sure people can at least hear it, and then start practicing and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So we are coming up on the top of the hour. Yeah. And then we'll get into the playlist that people sent some songs in for
Cool.
childhood hits. We'll talk about that in a second. But
Yeah.
before we get into the playlist and maybe, again, some songs, I asked this question to everybody when I was doing the podcast format. I'm going to continue to ask it to so many people because it's a really important question. So the question is, really, what is the importance of music in your life? You've touched on this a little bit, but if you could really just kind of summarize, how big of a role has it been, and do you think it will continue to be?
It will definitely continue to be. Music has been very important in my life. I think a lot of people, it's been important as a writer because I think a lot of people resonate with music as being important as, when I was going through this hard time, I'd listen to these songs and it would help me or whatever. For me, music has always been a safe space for me to express myself. And I have always needed that and always loved that. And to this day, if I'm having a bad day, I just drop everything, go over to the piano and just let it out. It's the one place where I can get that flow state where there's no interruption. I can feel and express and then express and feel and express and not have to worry about it. I can play how I'm feeling without adding lyrics so no one else knows except me to get out of my system, or I can write in detail how I feel and let the whole world know how I feel if I want that to be the case as well. It's just a safe space for me, and I'll always need that, I'm sure.
All right.
I can't wait to see what happens in my life and how I write about it in the future, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have this double album to kind of tie up everything that happened in the past. And I'm not saying that the past won't still influence your writing, but
since then I've written songs about my past. I'm like, crap, I thought I was over it. And I'm like, here I am writing another sad song.
Right.
But the name of the album is Damage Undone.
Okay.
And that's exactly what the meaning is. I took all the damage and I undid it. I let it all out, and then it's over. Like, period. Damage undone. Like, let's move on. That's kind
awesome.
of the idea of it. I'm sure it'll still influence my music, but
right.
This was the get it all out of my system episode.
That's awesome. And I can't wait to see, like, when you've been doing this for 10, 15 years, like what other stuff is going to be influencing your music. So great. So childhood hits. You picked this as a theme, and I loved it. So I have some themes that if artists can't come up with one or whatever, I will suggest them. But when you said this, I was right away on board with it because I thought it was amazing. You want to say a little bit about why you picked this theme and where you came, what place you came from?
Yeah. So my idea for the childhood hits was, I think, it sounds minimal, but the hardest part of my day-to-day life that is affected by my childhood is when I am literally just socializing with people and something pop culture comes up and I have no idea what someone's talking about. And usually it's a reference to music, especially considering I'm a musician and I'm around musicians a lot. I'm around people that are very passionate about music, and they will just mention a song or mention an artist, or I'll say something and they'll sing it back in lyrics because it happens to be the lyrics of the song or whatever, and I'll have no idea what someone's talking about. And I always get this, like, what? You don't know who, like, I didn't know who Michael Jackson was, like, until after he died. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, some of the kids you probably taught didn't know it, but
literally, I learned this specifically because of my new job. The amount of times that people would ask me my name, I'd be like, Ivana, and they'd be like, oh, like Nirvana, and I'd be like, huh?
Oh.
And like, I would finally say, I'm gonna freaking Google Nirvana and learn one song, so I stop looking like an idiot. And now I know.
Okay.
I know that's part of a Nirvana song.
Yeah.
So now when people say that, I look super like I know what I'm talking about. When I don't, they're like, oh, Nirvana, like Ivana, and then I just start singing that little intro. And they're like, it's hilarious. I don't even know the lyrics to the song. I just know the intro.
Come,
you know what I mean?
As you are,
Yeah. Is that what it?
Yeah, that's the beginning part of it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
But most of his lyrics don't make sense anyway.
Okay.
So you can
It's a hymn, like Nirvana is a person, or
no, it's a band,
okay.
but the Kurt Cobain,
See,
one of the more popular songs, "Smells Like Teen Spirit." And I have
I've definitely like heard that before.
you
know,
probably
the-
that was their hit,
Okay.
and really kind of I would say put grunge on the map. I have a best friend who's listening to this right now. He's probably yelling at his radio, like, Brian,
I'm
please
so
don't talk about
sorry.
grunge because this is a territory I shouldn't be in. But Smells Like Teen Spirit was a huge hit for them. And in that song, the lyrics are almost unintelligible at some points. And
cool.
even if you do know what he's saying, they don't make sense.
Yeah.
And there was another singer, Weird Al Yankovic, who you don't know. Okay. He did a parody of it in the 90s and really plays up the part of you can't understand what he's saying. At one point, marbles start falling out of his mouth. Anyways, it's really funny. The sidetrack, don't worry about knowing the lyrics or anything because
cool.
no one knows half of them, and even if you did, it doesn't matter.
But anyway, so I don't have that nostalgia that's connected to music that most people have. Like my favorite song was Je ne Pays by Eric Satie, and that's a classical song. Or Prelude in C by Bach.
Okay,
or you know what I mean, like Turkish March by Mozart. Okay. You know what I mean? Like those are my songs that I like know, or like worship songs. You know what I mean? Like This Is the Day or whatever. You know, worship songs from my church. But I don't have that. A song comes on and I just remember being in high school and listening to this. I don't have that. I just nostalgia and music. There's not a connection with it. So I chose childhood hits because most people do have those childhood hits. This was my song when I went through my first breakup or whatever it is. I don't have it, but I want to know what other people's childhood hits are, so I can kind of see what I missed out on and like experience it for the first time and maybe like somehow connect to it somehow. It'd be really cool.
Have you had a chance to go back to some of the songs that I've been sharing on Instagram that people have sent in? And
the one that I knew was the Notorious song, just because I actually, since being out on my own, like I love Biggie Smalls. Love Biggie Smalls. And so like that's actually my ringtone, the one that you.
Oh, it is, okay.
So like that one like almost was nostalgia for me because like I discovered Biggie Smalls like right when I was 18, like right kind of new and out, and like I started discovering like hip hop and rap and everything, and like I listened to Biggie Smalls like going through my typical like ghetto stuff, like going through my hard time, homeless and low, listening to Biggie Smalls, like, but it really did get me through my hard times. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow. Yeah, I remember so like growing up, and I think I posted this on Instagram. Like I had a group of friends and we'd listen to that. Puff Daddy, when Puff Daddy was actually Puff Daddy and not Diddy, that I think he settled on.
I know that name.
Okay, good. So he's Diddy now.
I don't even know his song, but I know the name.
Right. He was Puff Daddy. He was P Diddy. Wow. I think he went through another one. His real name is Sean.
I'm cool enough to have more names.
I know, isn't that? You can mix it up a little bit.
Stay tuned for my next name.
Sean Combs is his. Well, I don't know if he legally changed it to Diddy. He may have, but Sean Combs was early on. And
cool.
Yeah. So that was. I had two worlds. I had my rap group of friends where we listened to that and Busta Rhymes and a couple other people, and then I had my rock group of friends. That we listened to the radio station all the time growing up and driving to school and listening to the rock music. So
similar, like, I mean, not growing up, but now, like, I've seen the memes that's like, I'm the girl that's driving home from the farmer's market listening to rap. Like, that's me, you know what I mean? Like, I have, like, that folky pop part of me, and, like, I'm not, like, a country girl, but I'm an outdoorsy girl. I love nature and everything, but then, like, I love some, like, good rap. Like, Tyler, the Creator, Biggie Smalls. Like, let's, like, get gritty with it.
Really?
Like, okay. Yeah, like, I really like it.
What do you think of some of the rap females out there now?
Like Nicki Minaj? I don't know. See, I don't know. I should know.
Megan Thee Stallion.
I think I've like she's probably on TikTok.
Right.
I mean, probably. Okay. I don't know. I can't give an honest opinion to be very honest.
I can't sing any of the songs on the radio.
Right. Yeah. Well, same as like Tyler, the Creator.
Right. Yeah. These are some of them are. A little too graphic for the station. I'll put that out there.
Sometimes it's like hard because it's like the beat and the melody, like it's so good. It's like, okay, let's just change the lyrics to like go to therapy.
Keep working out.
Sick beat, go to therapy.
One of her songs was a suggestion when we did the workout playlist.
Oh, really?
Last time.
That's funny.
Because it comes up on so many. You know, when you look at workout playlists now, it really pops up because it has that beat that drives and gets you going. Yeah. But when you hear the words like, I can't play that on the radio.
Not with your kid around.
No, don't work out with your kid around.
Right.
Hopefully.
I will say a lot of the songs like from the childhood hits, it is one of those things where like I'll listen to it and I'm like, oh, I've definitely heard this before. That's usually what it is. Like someone will ask me if I know a song and I'll say no, or know an artist and I'll say no, and then they'll show me the song, they'll show me the artist and be like, okay, I definitely have heard this. I just never went to, I don't own like a single like CD. You know what I mean? Like I never bought myself a CD of music or anything. I mean, I have Spotify and I like listen to things, and I always love what they suggest because like search music. Oh my god, I can't think of a name. Like Coldplay. I love Coldplay. Billie Eilish because she's cool. All of her music is cool. I love this artist called Tash Sultana, and I usually just search one of them and then hit like recommended. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, that's cool because I don't have the names to connect with it. I'll hear a song like, oh, it's familiar for sure.
And that emotional experience that I have and so many other people have when they hear these throwbacks. And so everybody listening, hopefully you're following the Instagram account at Music from Friends. Keep sending in some suggestions for childhood hits. So we have it going for 2 weeks. This week, when I get to the playlist in about 3 minutes, I'm going to focus on pop songs. There's going to be some rap and hip hop towards the end, some more pop at the beginning kind of flows. And next week, we're going to focus on just kind of rock songs.
I like it.
Yeah. So a little bit heavier vibe we'll be going with. So keep sending those in and tag Ivana in the next.
Ivana.official.
There you go. Nice. Anywhere else that they can, anywhere else they can find you.
Well, there's my Instagram, Ivana.official. On Facebook as Ivana Official. I'm on TikTok as Ivana Sophia. I'm also on Instagram as Ivana Sophia if you want to see my momming life and stuff.
And you have a photography too, right?
Yeah, I have a photography. I do all the things. I have a photography account, my music account, my account, even like a meme account.
Oh, you do?
It's just pictures of pretty flowers and inspirational quotes.
Okay.
It's very neat. Yeah. It's literally like, don't burn yourself trying to warm those around you, like beautiful flowers. It's called Words That Help You Grow.
Okay.
It's a very Ivana account.
So
I did that through COVID. That was my that was my little like COVID everyone has their thing that they did during COVID.
Right. Yeah.
All right. That was me in COVID. Just pictures of flowers and inspirational words.
That's awesome. All right. So everybody, follow Ivana on one of those mini Instagrams, but definitely follow Ivana Official for the music updates, everything that she's doing. We're gonna.
Let me know what you think about the music.
I hope they do. Oh, really? Okay. So DM her about the music. Look for her to have some live dates soon with her newly formed band. It's really great to meet you finally in person. We've had so many conversations, not in person.
I know.
I think we FaceTimed a couple times, but it's really great to meet you. I wish you the best of luck with everything, and hopefully you just keep growing and getting out there.
And your first radio show is awesome.
Thanks.
You're doing so good.
Thank you. There's a lot of buttons to push to make sure I do everything right. And in like 15 seconds, I hope it doesn't happen sooner, we're going to have a station identification. So it's just going to cut me off, say something really quick, and then I'm going to, and I just can't stop that. So I'm working on the timing right now.
Right, yeah.
So.
I can remember the cheesecake. I can talk about how I love cheesecake.
Just go into that.
I like all flavors of cheesecake.
We're watching the timer as it slowly ticks down to 7 o'clock, the top of the hour. But I really want to make sure I've said thank you so much for coming on, everything you've done, and I really look forward to hearing more stuff.
Thanks. You made a dream come true.
Thank you. I'm glad I could support you in the show. So, all right, everybody go check her out. I'm going to go quiet for a little bit for the station identification. I'll be right back with the playlist. All right, so we're going to start this playlist off with some songs from Ange on Instagram. She has a couple that she sent in. We have Billy Joel, Ace of Base, Madonna, Boyz II Men are some of the artists, Vogue, Motown Philly. It's going to be a great playlist, so let's get it started. Don't freak out. Somebody literally popped up in that door as you were talking, and this is still on, so they can still hear us here. So I have a little bit of time before I have to come back on and do this. Stay here because I have no idea who that was or if they're still. I heard some stuff moving downstairs, so this will be a fun little start. And if something happens, just tell them on the video.
Okay.
All right, that should be going. Check every closet, every door in here. We're good. He's not here anymore.
Okay.
And I wanted to do that to tell you. I'm really sorry that I keep
It's okay.
looking over your shoulder.
No, it's okay. I was just making
Because
I thought maybe someone was trying to like come in or something, and I was like,
he almost like he stood at the door for a second, and I looked at him. I'm like, please don't come in here because I could be revived. So
it's weird.
it's really weird. But he had a mask on, so I don't think it was somebody from the studio.
Interesting. Maybe someone's looking like for the wrong
I don't
place.
know. I wish Paul would have locked the door. All right.
Oh my god.
All right.
All right.
Oh, you said thanks to Rach?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to turn the live stream off.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right.